Let me start. So let me share. Now let's do a prayer first. Master Jesus, here we are together in your name to learn a bit more about mediumship, to understand ourselves, to improve what we know, and to try to become a better tool in your hands. Be with us through this humble study. So be it.
David.
Let me share the book with you all. Let me just highlight my screen here. Just a minute. Here. This will make it a bit bigger so I can see better. So we are continuing with the topic, the extraordinary and the supernatural. Today we're gonna restart from the point we have stopped last week. A miracle has no rational explanation. Spirit phenomena, on the other hand, may be explained in a most rational manner. Thus, they are not miracles, but rather simple effects that have their reason for being included among general laws. It's very common to see people coming to the Spiritism and considering that what happened with the spirits, what they can produce, the phenomena are something very extraordinary. It may be different to those they are not familiar with, but everything is inside the normal laws of nature. A miracle has yet another characteristic. It is an uncommon, an isolated event. Thus, any event that can be reproduced at will, so to speak, and by several individuals cannot be a miracle. Science performs miracles every day in the eyes of the uncultivated. That is why it used to be that those who knew more than the common folk were regarded as witches. And since it was believed that all superhuman science was diabolical, they were burned at the stake. Well, we are very lucky to be spiritists and mediums nowadays. Being a medium a couple of centuries ago, we had to be hidden, or our faith perhaps wouldn't be that positive. Nowadays, we are more civilized, and it is sufficient to put them in an asylum. That's also very true. When we don't understand something that's happening with the medium, with the person per se, he or she may end up in an asylum, and it happens more than we think, even today. If someone were really dead and were resuscitated by divine intervention, then, as we stated earlier, we would have a true miracle, because it would be contrary to the laws of nature. However, if the person only appeared to be dead and is still preserved a fragment of latent vitality, and science or some magnetic action managed to reanimate him or her, then, to enlighten individuals, such would merely be a natural phenomenon. Nevertheless, in the eyes of uncultivated folk, the incident would be regarded as miraculous, and its author would either be chased with stones or venerated, depending on the character of the individuals. There's something that came to mind here is that even today, the spiritist phenomena, something that can happen within the spiritism or anywhere else, any other, as part of any other belief. People sometimes believe that what we do is diabolical. What we do is bad. What we do will have a kind of bad sort, so to speak. So things that Kardec is mentioning here, like 200 years ago, still very, how can I say, still very present in our lives. If in a rural area, the physicists were to fly a kite rigged to attract electricity, which then cause a bolt to strike a tree, this new Prometheus would certainly be viewed as possessing some diabolical power. Moreover, one could say that remarkably, Prometheus seems to us to have been a prosecutor to Benjamin Franklin. Sorry, precursor to Benjamin Franklin, while Joshua, in making the sun, or rather the earth, stand still, would provide us with a true miracle. Because we have never heard of any magnetizer gifted with enough power to perform such a wonder. If you guys have any questions, will make any comments, please feel free to jump, okay? But through this text here, I'm not seeing, I think it's very clear what is there. So, of all these spirit phenomena, one of the most extraordinary and indisputable, and one of the most obvious, demonstrates the action of hidden intelligences, involves directly writing. Despite the fact that it is produced by hidden beings, however, this particular phenomena is no more miraculous than any other, than are also caused by invisible agents. For these invisible beings who inhabit space are one of the very powers of nature, a power that incessantly acts upon the physical and mental worlds. There is something I always like to mention is that we are spirits. So when we lose our physical body, we still have the ability to think, to feel, to miss someone, to produce actions, of course, within our new perimeter. But we are spirits, incarnated and discarnated. By enlightening us concerning the true nature of this power, Spiritism has provided us with the key to an infinite number of occurrences that are unexplained or unexplainable matters in any other way, and which we in remote times were regarded as wonders. To someone that never heard about Spiritism, never heard about magnetism, never heard about things we speak about here, perhaps still thinks it's something related to wonders. But as soon as you start to be acquainted to information, to what we do, you start to understand that it's something very natural. It's something normal, nothing out of the blue like. As was the case with magnetism, Spiritism has revealed, if not an unknown law, at least a poorly understood one, or rather, a law whose effects we have always known about because they have been produced down through the ages, but whose governing law had been unknown. It was therefore, well, just a minute, even today, we strongly recommend people that are willing to do or participate of mediums, meetings or studies or any other activity, to study in depth the phenomena, how it works, the mechanisms behind what you can see, what you can hear, because that is important to allow us to go away from that perception that something is very weird, something very strange, something is miraculous. No, something is very common. There are explanations behind. We may decide not to believe in those explanations for any particular reason. That's something else. But if you really want to, you can find information to bring you peace. It was therefore ignorance of such a law that gave rise to superstition. However, since the law has been understood, reintegrated into the order of natural events, what it means is the law has been understood and then became part of the natural events. Hence, by enabling a table to move or the dead to write, spirits do not perform any more, spiritists do not perform any more of a miracle than a doctor who revives a person on the edge of a death, or a physicist who manages to attract a bolt of lightning. Anyone who intended to perform miracles with the help of Spiritist science would either be ignorant of the doctrine or a charlatan. Anyone who intended to perform miracles with the help of Spiritist science would either be ignorant of the doctrine or a charlatan. I think that what he's mentioning here is related to some individuals trying to promote, trying themselves, or trying to make a living using what we learn on the Spiritism. Like magnetic phenomena, spirit phenomena passed as wonders before their cause was fully understood. An opinionated skeptic, i.e., those who think they have exclusive rights to reason and common sense, do not believe that something is possible if they cannot understand it. And that is why all the so-called prodigious phenomena have been the object of their ridicule. Since religion itself is full of phenomena of this kind, they do not believe in religion either. And from there, it is only a small step to complete this belief. However, since Spiritism is able to explain most of the phenomena, it justifies their very existence. Thus, it has come to aid religion by demonstrating the possibility of some of the phenomena, which, even though no longer miraculous, are nonetheless extraordinary. And God is neither more or less powerful at not having derogated from the divine laws. I think all that said, Spiritism is bringing clarity for things we do not understand. Is bringing clarity for things that perhaps we misunderstood and were deviated from the natural law, and making people think that, well, that's maybe the right explanation for what I see, for what I've been experiencing, So that is something that I think Spiritism came to help a lot. How many jokes have had the levitations of San Cupertino as their object? Nevertheless, the suspension of heavy objects in the air is an occurrence explained by the Spiritist law. We have personally been eyewitness of the San Cupertino type phenomena, which Mr. Home and many other persons known to us have repeated many times. Thus, this phenomenon must also be included in the order of natural events. Douglas Home was one of the most powerful, if you can use that word in the lack of a better word, medium of physical effect. He used to levitate, he used to do things that we don't see very often. I believe he was Scottish. Among the number of phenomena of this kind, apparitions should be given first place since they are the most frequent. In Brazil, just a comment, in Brazil, a medium of equivalent characteristics of Dungala's home was Mirabelli from São Paulo. The apparition of La Salette, about which there are divergent opinions among the clergy, is nothing remarkable to us. Assuredly, we cannot go so far as to safely affirm the reality of the event, because we have no material proof of the matter. Nevertheless, we certainly consider it possible in light of the thousands of similar recent events with which we are familiar. Interesting that Kardec at the time, he was gathering information, he was doing research, he was doing like a lab, really, to prove what he was bringing to us. Nowadays, we don't have many spiritists doing that. And thinking about the number of spiritists at the time and the number of spiritists today, we would thought that today we would have much more people investing in that kind of research than we really have. But that's not what is happening. We believe in them not only because we have verified a reality, but especially because we know perfectly well how they are produced. Those wishing to refer to the theory on apparitions, which we will provide further on, will see that these phenomena are simple and plausible as an infinite numbers of physical phenomena that only appear prodigious when we lack the key to explaining them. That sentence here, we lack the key to explaining them. Do we know everything? Do we know all the possibilities? Do we know how every single phenomena works? Very unlikely someone is able to know everything, right? We are able to understand part of the phenomena, is a possibility, but we have options nowadays available that we can contact other people, we can do research, we can do even exercises to reproduce the phenomena. And then that will bring us solid information to allow us to come to a conclusion, or even better, to develop a new theory. As Kardec said, things would evolve. So things that are yet to come, no one may be able to explain. And if you are very resistant to do exercises, to do proper investigation, we are denying the principle that Kardec brought to us. Of course, possibly we will find something that's fake, but we should not deny everything before we go in length to prove or to understand what is happening. As for the actual personage, Harmony, I saw your hand.
Hi, Guilherme. Good morning, everyone. Well, I just want to mention that we should also be careful to take everything as, a real spiritual manifestation, phenomenon. We should carefully analyze it. As Kardec just mentioned here, the case that they investigated to see if it was possible and, led him to the conclusion that, yes, that could be explained through the knowledge that Spiritism provides us, but we shouldn't jump into conclusion. Oh, yes, now I have an explanation for that. So everything is spiritual, I'm walking on the street, I trip over something, fall on the pavement, and oh, that was a spirit that, So we should be careful to, we know it is possible. The spirit can, have certain actions upon the material world, yes, but we shouldn't take everything as spiritual or deny everything as not being spiritual, you see? The importance, as you said, of knowing, studying, evaluating every situation, seeing any plausible explanation, and discarding the ones that are less plausible, and then saying, yes, it's probably true, or no, that has a more common, ordinary explanation.
Munir, you said something that's very important, especially for beginners on the Spiritism. we try to believe, or we are led to believe, that everything could be related to the spirit. We need first to eliminate other causes. In case of influences, we need always to seek as well for medical support, because sometimes it's something just physical, and because we are being immersed with a lot of information, we start to see other things happening. So we need to be very careful. And I remember two things I saw in the past that was, well, to the limit, it was funny, because the person was justifying everything. Well, that was a spirit. That was a spirit. That was, come on. Where is our free will? If the spirit is guiding us every step on the route, so we are not learning anything. We are not using our free will. So we have to be very careful, you know. And sometimes it's not obvious at all, because depending to whom you speak, the person will tell you, no, no, that was the spirit. So we need to be conservative, study the subject, evaluate what's happening, consider all possibilities before we elaborate a theory about something. As for the actual personage that presented itself at La Salette, that is a different issue. Its identity has never been absolutely proven to us. By the way, identity of a spirit is something very difficult to have. It's something very tricky too, because a spirit may come to you saying, I am Napoleon Bonaparte, and how can you prove that I am or that I'm not? Right? There are ways to, and we see that in the medium's book afterwards, there are things we should do to eliminate possibilities to being tricked. But even like that, even when we can see, we may be tricked. Okay? And we only accept the fact that some kind of apparitions could have appeared. The rest of the details are outside our competency to judge. Each one may keep his or her own convictions regarding the matter, but Spiritism does not need to be concerned with it. And that is interesting, because sometimes we find people that are really trying to advocate in name of Spiritism, defending something or promoting something. And I, in particular, I really believe in that sentence. We should not be concerned about it. Things will happen anyway, you know. And sometimes when we are going so deep into that a subject, we end up being discredited as well. We will only state that the facts produced by Spiritism have revealed new laws and have given us the key to a multitude of incidents that formerly seemed supernatural. And when I see this word supernatural, what comes to mind is those TV shows, many in America, showing people going into the haunted houses, trying to find the spirits. You know, sometimes it is interesting to see, but when I see something like that, I always try to identify the causes behind what they are saying or they are believing. And then, in light of what we study, in light of what we saw so far, the show is not like something, ooh, there's something different happening. No, it's just another event, just another situation where someone was able to record it, but something that remains natural. If some of those supposed miraculous facts find a logical explanation in Spiritism, it is one more reason for people not to be in a hurry to deny what they do not comprehend. As human beings that we are, everyone here in this room have their own truth about something. Having said that, we may have built our own truth based on what we want to see and what we were able to experience so far. So that may not reflect the reality. We need to be very careful. There are things I cannot comprehend yet. In 10 years' time, there will be other things I will not comprehend. So the only way to minimize things that I do not understand today is study. That's why I say to people that for a medium, it's a must to study. It's not because you did it once that you don't need to do again. No, it's a must. Because new things will happen. And if you're not keeping up with what is happening, you may be overwhelmed. And I like to make a comparison. Would you like to go to a hospital and be in front of a doctor that after the uni never open a book, or a doctor that spend his time studying new technology, new symptoms, doing seminars, things like that? I prefer the latter. The Spiritist phenomena have been contested by some individuals precisely because they appeared to be outside ordinary laws and because an explanation for them could not be found. However, provide them with a rational basis and there can be no more doubt. There are cases and cases, right? There are people that really don't want to believe for different reasons. There are people that have a different creed that really don't want to believe. And they do some activities that in their eyes are something else. But if you're going to evaluate how the mechanism of what they are doing is happening, is exactly the same as what we do, with different name, with different perception, but it's exactly the same thing we do. In this century in which no one is satisfied with mere words, an explanation is therefore a powerful motive for conviction. What about today with social media, internet, TikTok, Instagram, all sort of tools we have today? Can we believe in what we see there?
Yeah,
Wait.
quickly. I made a question these days to ChatGPT about some spirit phenomena, mediumship, and ChatGPT knows more than me. Olha a joke.
Yeah. I totally agree. I totally agree. Because the tools we have today, they learn with us, but they don't learn with one individual. They learn with the collectivity. So they are able to prepare theories or response for questions that we haven't even considered. No? So yeah, I think we need to keep up with the new generations that are yet to come. Because the new generations, what we do today won't be sufficient. Won't be sufficient. And when I see in our study here, teenagers, young people participating, that is really something. But we don't see that very often on study or even face-to-face. Because the Spiritism is not adapting to the younger generations. And this could be a problem in the future. Prepare Spiritisms or disclose the information that we already acquired in the way we want to see may not be ideal. Thus, every day we see persons who have never even witnessed one phenomenon, who have never seen a table move or a medium write, but who are nevertheless as convinced as we are solely because they have read and understood. I agree with that. Giving the theory, giving the possibility to access the information will help. But there are also those individuals that were prepared before reincarnate, that they are coming. They just need a little push to embrace the information. And I used to say very often too that a medium or an indoctrinator, they have been prepared on the other side before they came. So what they need is just someone to refresh their mind. Many people don't see like that. But sometimes you have individuals that came to a meeting and we see that in a very short period of time, it's there. We see it's natural. From where it's coming from where this knowledge is coming from, is coming from previous existences, where possibly they were mediums or something else. So if we are mediums, we have been prepared to do so. We may decide not to act as such, and it's all right not to, but we have been prepared, and quite often we asked to be a medium or indoctrinated, for example. If we had to believe only what we have actually seen with our own eyes, our convictions would be reduced to insignificance. And then I'm thinking that the time that Caldas wrote that, having access to information was very difficult. Having access to information nowadays is very easy. The key is to separate good and not that good information. And to be able to do that, we need to have some safe basis. And Caldas is one of them. Chapter 3, methodology. Just a minute. Yeah. One very natural and praiseworthy desire that adherents have, and which should always be encouraged, is that of a winning converts. I like to give that example because it's a true example, and that to demonstrate that what should be the mindset, in my opinion. I was married for like 10 years or something like that. My wife, she knew I was a Spiritist, but I never spoke about Spiritism with her. I never pushed her to go to Spiritism or not. I was doing anything wrong. No, I was respecting her opinion, her point of view. She did not like the spirits. She was afraid, in reality, she was afraid of it. I could see some symptoms that could make me believe she was a medium, but it was her right to decide what to do or what not to do. Until one day, the symptoms of mediumship, as I used to call, became more present, to the point that she asked, "What is that? Where I can find help?" It's okay. So now it's my turn. And then we start some activities together. Why I'm giving that example? Because I do not believe we are here to convert anyone. You believe in what you want to believe. I'm not here to convince you or anyone. This is not my job, if you like. If I want to convince someone about what I believe or what I do, it's by example. I give the examples. If you feel comfortable, if you like what I'm doing, perhaps you'll come and ask questions. But other than that, I prefer not to be seeking to increase the numbers or something like that, because that will come naturally. There's another avenue with that. People will come to you, and you need to be prepared to identify why they're coming to you and to help them. Because another thing that happens very often too is that mediums, I'm speaking about mediums because that's what we are studying here. Mediums come closer to us and they are not welcomed with open arms, or they are not given options to understand better what is happening or what they can do. No. I cannot do that here. Or I'll tell you to seek some support with someone else in another Spiritist center, or we need to be prepared to give support to people that are coming. For example, imagine if after this study we did, we decide not to continue having our virtual meetings. What could happen with those who were there spending 1 year or so studying or showing already mediumistic characteristics? What could have happened to them? Be doing something by themselves, alone, or deciding not to do anything at all? So I think we need to consider that we don't need to convert anyone. We are not here to convince anyone, but we are responsible to give support to those that are in need. We have stated that Spiritism is a complete science, an entire philosophy in and of itself. Those who would desire to become thoroughly familiar with it must first of all submit to a serious study of the subject and become persuaded that more than any other science, it cannot be learned without commitment. I will highlight that word, commitment, because this is something very important in any activity we do, especially any mediumistic activity. We need to have commitment. Many people use that sentence to justify the need of someone to study several years before they are considered to be granted access to a mediumship meeting. Maybe by fear, maybe by some excess of what they believe. Yes, I totally agree that people need to become familiar with what they do. But we need to be careful to what extent we do that. Because someone that has arrived to the Spiritist Center with a totally unbalanced mediumship will not regain its balance only reading a book or studying a book. We need something more. As we stated earlier, Spiritism applies to all the issues that interest humankind. It is an immense field. Yes? Yes? Did anyone call my name? I guess not. I can't hear things. This foundation undoubtedly consists in the belief in spirits. But such a belief does not make a knowledgeable spirit any more than a belief in God makes a theologian. Thus, let us see what might be the most suitable way to proceed in its teachings in order to most effectively bring about conviction. I think we have two things here. We have how we teach things, and we have let me go first to how to teach things. Today, you guys are very quiet. You're not participating on the study, you're just listening. And that's fine. But this is not a lecture.
Yeah.
Wait.
I'm so happy when I read this statement here from the spirits and, of course, Kardec. We have stated that Spiritism is a complete science and entire philosophy in and of itself. This is a blessing because you have this compendium, you have this entire body, as Charles said, body of knowledge in our hands. And still a lot of people outsiders knows nothing about how this could be. Sometimes why the spirits don't help us to really spread into their minds in order to make this humanity grow a little bit towards the morality, etc. It's only my statement that I say I'm very happy, of course, all of us, when I read.
It's a very interesting point, because what is we are missing to make this happen? Are we doing what we're supposed to do? Or are we so deep in what we believe that we are missing that little link that will allow that to happen? I don't know. I really don't know the answer. You know, and Elsa was saying about taking this knowledge to people outside Spiritism. And immediately when she was saying that, what came to my mind is, not even the Spiritists are studying enough the scientific part of the Spiritism. Not all Spiritists are studying the philosophical principles of the Spiritism. I guess this is in the human nature, trying to get everything easy, not having to put additional effort to get something done, you know. I don't know. I truly don't know. And when we talk about science, I know there are a group of people trying to do science nowadays, but we always had. We had Nobel Prizes doing that in the past. And I ask myself if it's by that venue that we will make it being better accepted or not. I don't know. I like very much the scientific side, but I don't know. I don't know. Will the scientific part of Spiritism create or make the adherents grow? I truly don't know. So I have two hands. Patricia.
Thank you. When I was saying it, then it came to my mind, like, if people experience fear or taboo, like, or discredit, like, in relation to things related to spirit, or spiritualist or spiritism, like they don't believe. I don't know as well. I was just wondering. But then when you said about, because there was a time here that I was wondering, because you talk about not studying, and I'm one of the ones that is not studying enough. But I think there is an aspect as well that even when people are a little bit more, potentially a little bit more familiar to the spiritism, it could potentially think, yeah, okay, but it seems like something so separate, you know. It feels like I'm talking a little bit about myself, to be honest, and maybe other people may experience something similar. I don't know, but sometimes I'm looking at this screen because I had to move the thing to the screen. I was saying that even if you are a little bit familiar with that, and then you start studying, but then you think, but it seems so separate, so it's still far away from yourself. And then you might think, am I going to experience anything like this? Because even though we're studying, am I worthy of anything happening to me? And another aspect is that you were talking at the beginning of this session about, I don't know what you said, but it made me think about, well, I don't remember now, but it's something along those lines of, you said about about people maybe relating everything to spiritism or not. But there are the aspect as well that suddenly then you start to notice that you might receive an intuition, and then you start to notice a little bit more when those things happen, either for the good or not, or but then you start to become more aware as well, that you are a spirit, that you live not just in the material world. And then it's just studying, I think, breaking down the barrier of taboo, and then realizing that that happens to you too. You might not realize. And also, if other things may happen to you too. And maybe it's not a matter of being worthy or not. It's a matter of just being a spirit that is incarnated and is going to experience things. Yeah, that's what I wanted to say.
Let me start answering one thing. Well, there are several things in what you said, but let me answer that, at least the first one. The worthy thing, right? Mediumship is organic, it's physical. It's written in your DNA. So it's not a matter of being worthy or not. You have the characteristics or you don't have. Mediumship is like electricity. It's like atomic energy. You can use for good, you can use for bad. Like magnetism, you can use for good, you can use for bad. So the worthy thing is more like how you're going to use your mediumship. If you do it right, you get good spirits around you. If you do it not that right, you may not have so many good spirits around you. Okay. You said also another thing that's very interesting, that I feel like it's so away from that, well, it's out of my reality type of thing. If you were born in the middle of the jungle, and if you see me today for the first time, you would think that I am a god, or I was someone there to eliminate all your tribe. You'd be scared to death because you never saw me over there. There are families that have been acquainted to the Spiritism for generations. So everything we do is very normal to them. Very normal. There's no mystery there. I may don't like, but I know that my aunt, my grandpa, they used to do that. So it's not strange to me. I may don't like to do, but it's not strange to me. It's normal. And then I exercise my free will not to be part of it. That is something else. Things become normal after we become acquainted to that information and we start to embrace the possibility of what we are learning. And then is another thing that you said. I start to realize that could be an spirit. Yes, that's the goal of a study. That will give you the information. So when you are exposed to some degree of the phenomena, you will be able to identify a bit easier than someone that never heard about it. Someone that never heard about it, perhaps will put you in an asylum. Someone that have heard about it, at least will think about someone that may be able to help, because you are considering that as a possibility. And I will extend what you said to what I am a medium. I'm doing exercises. I'm not sure if I'm a medium or not. What is the problem? If you are, that will come. If you are not, after a period of time, it will be clear that you are not an ostensive medium per se. So through the information, through the studies, is the first point to access all possibilities that we can see on Spiritism. Study, practice / exercises, and if something has to happen, it will happen. But some that have been studying with us, when face some of those phenomena, may be a bit scared, but won't be frightened to the point that we'll start to run away. someone that never had that possibility in face of some phenomena will run, because human beings are scared of what they don't know. I'm not sure if I answer you or if I'm completing
No,
your...
you did. No, yours really good. Thanks.
But that's what came to my mind. So now I have a hand from the iPhone. Hi, iPhone.
It's me.
Oh my God.
Oh my God. No. When you spoke, came into my mind the same thing like you, like do we study enough? Do we do enough? Like in Europe, right? We don't have enough places. We don't have all kinds of things that maybe touch people, right? Like in the spiritism, that more than that, I think is missing places that could help people or learn or find themselves or spiritual in a spiritual way. That is something that probably we all do it wrong, right? We need to involve. But also has many places in Brazil, and sometimes they do a disservice because they don't study or because the people put information that is not valid in the internet, things like that. So that is another problem when we have so many. And I also thought as well, should everybody be spirit? Would it be good for everybody philosophy that doesn't punish, that because it has people that need other things to be good. I don't think spiritism is good for everybody. Anyway, just that I'd like to share.
Spiritism is not good to everybody. Maybe not. Maybe not. Do I need to be a spiritist to be a good person? Definitely not. Spiritism is there to help, to bring a different degree of information, or a different degree of information. But it's another possibility. It's another possibility. But if you do have mediumship, ostensive mediumship, not every other belief will help you with that. Spiritism is not the only one. But there are some belief that if you say that you are, you will suffer the consequences. So amongst the other possibilities, the one that I feel very comfortable is the spiritism, because it brings me the information that I miss. But this is a matter of preference as well. It's a matter of how you feel comfortable with information as well. Hi, iPhone, I see your hand again.
I
Camila?
didn't want to keep it. No, it's all fine. I just forgot to lower the hand. Thank you, Guilherme.
Okay, all right. Adherents need not to be frightened by the word teaching. It is not solely the product of the lecture stand or podium, but it also occurs in simple conversation. Every person who tries to persuade another by means of explanation or experiences teaches. What we want for the teaching effort to produce results, and that is why we believe our task should be that of providing a few words of advice that may be equally beneficial to those who want to learn by themselves. They will find the means herein to most surely and quickly reach their goal. But that's a good example that even in a conversation, sometimes we are passing information, even in a more effective way than through a lecture. I always had difficulty to learn through lectures. I had my preferences, of course, but I think there are more unorthodox ways of learn something. It is generally believed that in order to be convincing, it is enough to simply present the facts. Not always. This would certainly appear to be the most logical approach, though experience has shown that it is not always the best, because we frequently encounter individuals who are not at all convinced by the most obvious facts. Why is this? That is what we shall try to determine. In Spiritism, the matter of spirit is secondary and successive. It is not the starting point. And this is precisely the error into which one falls, and often the reason for one's failure with certain people. Since the spirits are simply human souls, the correct starting point is therefore the existence of the soul. How could materialists accept the existence of beings that live outside the material world when they believe themselves to be only matter? How could they believe that there are spirits all around them if they do not believe there is one within themselves? It would be pointless to amass the most tangible proofs right in front of them. They would contest all of them because they do not believe in the principles. I think that goes in line as well with Spiritists trying to convince someone, trying to convert someone. If you don't believe, you don't believe. That's fine. Continue your path. You know, it's not up to me to do that change for you. The facts will happen in a way that will come naturally. But sometimes you go through your existence and you will not believe, and that's fine. That's not a problem at all. But me trying to convince someone that don't believe in the spirit, that's what the Spiritism does, is a waste of time and energy. And chances are that you may even, instead of making a friend, making something else. So we need to accept everyone's belief. We need to allow people to get closer when they want to get closer. And if they don't, that's fine. There's no problem at all. Every teaching methodology must proceed from the known to the unknown. And for the materialist, we know is matter. Thus, before anything else, you should start with matter and try to show and convince them that there is something with, oops, oh dear, just a minute, something has happened. I don't know what has happened, but the book has changed. So I think it's this. Okay. I even lost where I was here. But anyway. Let me see here. Every teaching methodology must proceed from the known to the unknown. And from the materialist, we know is matter. Thus, before anything else, you should start the matter and try to show the unconvinced then that there is something within them that is outside the laws of matter. In a word, before trying to make them spiritists, try to make them spiritualists. To do so, however, you need another order of facts and you must proceed to a special form of teaching via other means. In fact, make that a little bit bigger here. If you talk to them about spirits before they are even convinced that they possess a soul, you are starting at the end point, since they cannot accept the conclusion if they have not accepted the premise. Therefore, before trying to convince these believers, even by using facts, it is advisable to make sure of their opinion concerning the soul That is determined if they believe that it exists, that it survives the body and retains its individual after death. If their response is negative, it will be a waste of time to talk to them about spirits. That is the rule. We are not saying there are no exceptions, but if there are exceptions, there would have to be some other reasons for those particular persons to be less resistant. Maybe someone they know, maybe some experience they have experienced and they don't know what it is. Could be many things. So do we have
Interesting answer.
Yeah.
No, interesting the statement. That is the rule. Something that there's an exception or something different, but in fact, that is the rule. Nothing to do if the response is negative, what have to do? Nothing.
Yeah. And we have to respect everyone's point of view, everyone's perception. So now it's time for that prayer on the end. I would like to know if someone from the group of prayer would like to take the lead.
I can do today, Guilherme. Okay. If someone, I didn't see if they put their hands on, I can do today. So it's wonderful to talk about something that's feeding our souls every time that we are gathering. And we know that the most important things bring lights towards us, enlightening our souls with the studies. Having our time here together, we are doing something very important for our future, for our task here, for our brothers and sisters around us, because there is so much cases nowadays that we do the difference in between people that don't know Jesus, don't know spirituality or even spiritism. And we ask our dear benefactors, especially the ones that are guiding this group since it started 5 years ago, help us to maintain ourselves with our minds focusing in our future. That is Jesus there, waiting for us, waving for us to come. Everyone that you are going the right direction, studying, putting practice, enlightening our souls. Dear Lord, may your blessing be with some friends that are not able to open their minds to understand the importance to dedicate a few hours during the week to feed the soul. But they are behind the scenes, asking I pray for them. And I say, we can pray together for you. Come and see the difference that you will be in your life when you pray, when you are together learning as we are doing here now. That is a blessing, and it is for free. It is our mind, our will to be here, our mind to guide us towards these studies that are really a precious time, as said Dr. Andrew Powell. And dear Lord, may your blessing be with Munir, Guilherme, Charles, that are preparing these studies. The blessings will be with each one of us, covering our homes with light and good fluids that we are immersed now. We can breathe and feel the presence of our benefactors surrounding us, inspiring us, and guiding us. And dear Lord, at the end of our meeting, we'd like to say thank you so much for everything you have done for us, especially for this opportunity being together in your name. On behalf of our dear Master Jesus and Kardec, we thank God as well, and we ask our permission to end our meeting now. So be it.
So be it.
Amen.
Well, see you all next week.
Can I take a picture of this beautiful place? Everyone agree or not?
Sure.
If you don't agree, never mind. Okay, I'll take a picture, okay? Because we start a new group anyway, so pleased to be here. Okay? Thank you. Bless you all. See you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you.